Are you ready? Today, we're going to talk about what nobody ever wants to talk about when you die.
It can be a very difficult subject for many people, but it's a lot easier to deal with before you get sick and are at death's door. You'll also be sparing your loved ones a lot of grief and anguish by taking care of everything now. So, for no other reason, do it for them.
Now, this is a big topic. We've got a
Mm.
lot of material to cover, and here's what we're going to be dealing with in this video: end of your life, dealing with your death as well as your actual passing and the disposal of your
Mm.
estate after you die. So, here's a couple of specifics that we'll cover. Assisted living, is
Mm.
it in your future? Hospice care and the end of life, die the way you want. Why not prepay your funeral and burial expenses and organize your estate for yourself as well as your heirs?
All of this is particularly important for us seniors.
You bet.
We've got lots of good information and some valuable recommendations for you. You may even want to take notes.
I'd like to take these things a little bit out of their natural order. So, if you don't mind, let's start by jumping to the very end after you're dead. And we'll begin with your estate. That's what you leave behind. Then we'll come back to the end of your life leading up to your death, and we'll help you prepare for your last days. Okay, Art?
Okay, will living trust, we'll get to that. Why bother? Sure, it will save your loved ones a lot of hassle when you die, but mostly people go to the trouble of having a will or a trust drawn up because they want to direct their estate to follow their wishes. Here's the problem: a will does not avoid probate, but a trust does. A will is actually an important part of the probate process.
Well, that brings up the question, what's probate? Probate's a court supervised legal process to manage a deceased person's estate and ensure the law is followed. Now, most people, including me, want to avoid probate because of the cost of the court and the lawyers involved. It's paid for by your estate with your money, reducing the amount of money your heirs will receive. Now, besides avoiding probate, a living trust can also do things like ensure clear asset distribution, reduce taxes, and protect assets and relieve stress to family members.
Now, you should know that certain types of assets automatically pass to beneficiaries outside of probate, but it can be different state by state. Typically, these types of assets can avoid probate because they already have named beneficiaries. These include life insurance proceeds, retirement accounts such as IRAs and 401ks, assets held in joint names with right of survivorship. This can include some bank accounts and property held in a living trust, which is why we recommend a living trust. Hmm.
Here's an important note. These types of assets will only pass directly to a named beneficiary. So be sure to update your beneficiary names on all
Hmm.
your life insurance, bank accounts, retirement accounts.
Living trusts are more common and more affordable than ever before. Today, you can get them done online as well as by a local attorney. Although my wife and I had a living trust when our kids were young, and it cost us a bundle to hire an attorney to draw up that paperwork, when we wanted to update it when our kids were grown, we found a local attorney who did nothing but living trusts for about $600. It included all the notarization of papers, medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney, documentation to convert your property records to the trust name, a pour over will for things not previously enumerated, and some nice bound copies to give our kids who were named as trustees, as well as a detailed list of how we want our assets distributed. Today, there are many lawyers like the one I use, as is John. We even interviewed him. You can see that video in the link that we provide below. There are also many online services that are fairly inexpensive that will walk you through setting up a living trust online that follow your state rules.
People change, times
Mm,
change, your goals and desires might change as well. So, once you have a living trust set up, be sure to
mm.
review your choices occasionally, both the people that you've chosen and any financial expectations you might have given them. Okay, now it's time to jump to what people euphemistically call the end of life. That's the point at which you really can't take care of yourself. Unfortunately, nobody knows how long this period will last. For example, in an earlier video, I told you of my uncle who literally changed his aunt's diapers for 10 years until she died at 92. By contrast, my father worked right up until the day he died. So you never know. And we want you to be prepared.
John and I haven't had much personal experience with this end of life period. So, unlike most of our videos where we could say, been there, done that, our advice here is mostly from research and friends.
But that doesn't make it
Hmm.
any less valuable. We've got some suggestions regarding a number of things that you might want to research and think
Hmm.
about, not only for yourself, but especially if you have any elderly relatives who may soon qualify. So, today, our end of life discussion will include the following: planning for your end of life, assisted living, memory care, and hospice. We'll also be doing some future videos on this period as we learn more from experts and engage in our planning for our own end of life.
It's a fact that generally people are living longer and healthier than previous generations. I've got my sister planning my 100th birthday party, and she's 5 years older than me. Even though it's a little less than 20 years away, I don't think I'm being too ambitious. How about you? Here's our first suggestion. Take a look at your family tree and try to make a realistic judgment about not only how long you'll live, but about any hereditary health problems you may face.
While some diseases like heart disease and diabetes may have a hereditary component, they're not always guaranteed. So, if you have a history in your family, make a concerted effort to research prevention as well as treatments. Also, take into account any major health issues that you're currently dealing with. Can they be ameliorated or will they just get worse with age? What are the odds that you'll live to or beyond the actuarial age for your generation? What kind of health will you most likely be in? Now, no one can predict the future, but based on your current health and your lifestyle, as well as your family history, you can make some reasonable assumptions and plan for the end of your life.
Let me share the actions I've taken to increase my chances of living to 100, even though my dad passed in his 70s and mom in her early 80s. Since my late 20s, early 30s, I was well over 200 pounds, generally between 260 and 290, and smoked like a chimney. In my early 50s, I finally quit smoking, and in my late 60s began to follow a vegan diet, all giving me great results with my blood chemistry. But I was still severely overweight and ate lots of vegan friendly processed foods. My lifestyle included the gym and exercise. I was healthier, but I was still a fat vegan with painful knees and aching joints. About 2 years ago, I adopted a whole foods plant based diet, eliminating most oils and added sugar. I lost about 60 pounds, bringing me under 200 pounds for the first time in over 50 years. Now, I'm not too far from my weight when I graduated from Marine boot camp at Paris Island. I've kept the weight off for over a year. My knees and joints no longer ache. My doctor tells me I'm healthier than I was 20 years ago, and I'm confident that this will pay off for me when I am truly elderly. So, I'm living proof that you can offset some genetic dispositions and take control over your life.
Art, that's a great story. And I can attest, as can anybody who knows you, that your transformation has been amazing. So, yes, we can
Mm.
all improve our health, even if you're over 80 like us. And it can make a positive difference when you reach the end of your life. Of course, there are so many diseases and conditions that seem to come out of nowhere. You've got to also allow for the possibility that you may develop a physical or cognitive disorder or a lingering chronic condition such as dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cancer, or something else. For example, it's been said that 42% of people over 55 will develop dementia. What's the chance that will happen to you? Other folks claim that close to 75% of Americans already have some kind of chronic disease. Now, whether you buy these statistics or not, bottom line is that we must plan for not just our last days, but our last years.
You owe it to yourself as well as your family to take a serious look at an assisted living facility near you. Assisted living is a residential option for seniors who need help with some daily activities but don't require intensive medical supervision. The goal is to provide a safe and supportive environment that allows residents to maintain a high level of independence in a home like setting. Many of these facilities have various care levels, starting with a club like residential package for seniors who are relatively healthy and independent. It might include personalized assistance for tasks like medication management, bathing, and housekeeping, along with meals, social activities, and security.
Now, the next more expensive level would offer the intensive medical care of a nursing home as needed. And the final level is often labeled memory care. Memory care is a specialized type of residential care designed for individuals with cognitive decline, such as Alzheimer's disease or other forms of dementia. It generally offers a much more intensive supervision and personalized care with trained caregivers.
The problem is, it's all expensive, and each level of more intensive care will be more expensive than the last. How is most assisted living care usually paid for? It could be a combination of these methods: private funds, which could mean your life savings and possibly your Social Security check, proceeds from selling a home, long term care insurance, veterans aid, life insurance. If you live in a high cost state, is it prudent to move to a low cost state with lower cost of living? It's something to consider.
Well, no matter how you look at it, these are significant changes affecting both the patients and their families. Why? Just discussing a possible need to join an assisted living facility might be a little unsettling, especially when you discuss the cost. But who will take care of you otherwise? An assisted living facility is not the only option. You might be able to remain at home and with part time help, anything from visiting nurses to housekeepers and caretakers. Now, none of that is free, but it could be considerably less than the cost of an assisted living facility. It's possible you may need more intensive care and supervision and need to live with a relative who will be your full time caretaker. Who would that be? Is there someone who might help take care of you? If so, talk to them now. Discuss the possibilities and plan for the cost as well as any legal directives you might need. It's never too soon.
Our intention is not to scare you, but to give you a heads up and inform you of the possibilities. While it may be expensive, remember an assisted living facility will take care of you to the end of your life. These folks provide a needed service for the elderly.
Is assisted living for you? The best way to find out, of course, is to contact them and visit one or two facilities nearby. They'll be happy to give you a tour, answer any questions, and go over financing.
When you're truly at death's door and nothing can be done, there's hospice. Hospice is a type of end of life care for individuals with a terminal illness, focusing on quality of life rather than cure. Hospice usually provides a team of professionals who manage pain and other symptoms, offering emotional and spiritual support both to the patient and their family. You can generally arrange for hospice care at home or at facility. Think about it and let your feelings be known to loved ones and registered in your living trust or other final document.
Well, okay, you die. And when it comes time to your final arrangements, I recommend that you should think seriously about them now. Don't leave them for your loved ones to take care of after you're gone. Make the arrangements now. And that's what I did. It was only a couple of years ago that my wife and I made an appointment at a local funeral home. We really didn't know anybody. We just picked up the phone and called the mortuary down the street. We had a couple of really good meetings where everything was explained and our options were presented. We were able to discuss what otherwise would be considered very morbid details, and we did it in a calm and professional manner, including talking about the cost. Since you can never know how long you're going to live or when you're going to die, we probably should have done that at least 10 years earlier. Over the years, having buried more than a few relatives, I've met with several funeral homes, all while I was under the stress of tremendous grief. And I can tell you it's a lot better to plan a funeral and deal with the cemetery while you're not grieving. It's been my experience that the folks at the funeral industry really are all sympathetic professionals who want to help. But let's face it, the decision making ability of a depressed, grieving loved one, that was me, is not always the best. You want to be buried next to relatives, but that cemetery is halfway across the country? Prefer to be cremated? Maybe you want a special personalized ceremony at your wake, or no wake at all. How about religious rites, military honor guard? You know, what you want may or may not be the treatment that your loved ones would choose for you. So, like a living trust, making your own funeral and burial arrangements while you're still around ensures that you're going to get the treatment you want. Equally important, you'll be sparing loved ones the extra pain. Another advantage of doing this now is that you can prepay for your final arrangements at today's prices. That's what we did. And by the way, the funeral home was a big help with the cemetery as well. So we urge you to prepare now for your last days, as well as
Mhm.
dealing with your final wishes and planning your estate after you die.
Our whole purpose with these videos is to help you prepare for the inevitable. Getting so sick you can't take care of yourself or make sound decisions. The first video was our advice on key preparations and paperwork to be completed for the medical system. The second was information about dealing with doctors, your medical gatekeepers. The third covered important financial matters and how to get the bills paid when you're in the hospital. And this fourth video, logically, is the finale about your last moments and what you should do to prepare for the end. Remember, the truth is your life can change in an instant. You're healthy until you're not.
For more on Celebrating Act Two, visit our webpage, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tell your friends. Celebrating Act Two is the user manual for the second half of